Welcome back, I'm Wavepunk, and this is day 80-something of producing for a year. Yesterday we took our first crack at trying to mix the boss fight track. And mixing is consistently the thing I stress about the most and the thing I dread doing the most when it comes to producing. Honestly, at this point, I would generally most of the time call the track done. I would maybe add some more musical elements, but if I got a track looking this good in a wavetable and sounding the way it was, I would consider this a success. And I could do that with this track. But I've been producing since I was 14. The parts that come before mixing, that's the stuff I spend the majority of my time doing. This is the squeaky wheel. And part of me as a content creator wants to skip mixing on the channel. My favorite videos are the ones where I just sit and we start with nothing, and by the end of the video, there's like a track that's got a whole bunch of different instruments in it, and you kind of get to watch that track come to life. This is the opposite of that. This is doing taxes. But I suck at it, and the whole point of this challenge is to get better, so I cannot skip doing these steps. Now, one thing we did in a previous video was analyze a bunch of tracks that I look up to and that I think are good tracks, and we analyzed their stereo images. We looked at them in the goniometer and tried to understand what are they doing in stereo that we're not doing, and we learned a few interesting things. I want to do the same thing today, but with EQ here. I want to try and look at my track through a spectrum analysis and then look at the other tracks and see where the big differences are and what sort of things we could possibly pick up on just by looking at things here. Now you might say, well, every track is going to feel different, and there's going to be different ways that the EQs look depending on what style of music and what energy a track's going for, and just even what instruments are picked in it. And you're not wrong, but I will say that there are things that are pretty consistent about the way I do mixing that leads to certain trends in my master spectrum analysis. So turned off the decay down here, and you'll see that this shape this is what my EQs kind of always look like. Large low end tapering off to the high end. If we go look at the louder sections, low end high, tapering down. And just to be obvious, if we put this all the way up towards decaying here, this isn't just a thing about like summation and averages. Same shape. So if we take a look at some other tracks, I'm gonna start with the Fractal Universe by Matt Zoe again. So this is a fascinating thing to look at. He's got like a hard cut here at like 15K. It's just everything, just complete cut there. Nothing higher than that. Does it matter? Probably not. But I don't know. That's just a fascinating thing. Generally, I'm happy to see that his shape's kind of similar here. I think his high end's a little bit higher than mine. Yeah, that's honestly comforting. I honestly thought it was gonna be more flat because his high end just feels so crisp and so bright. But cool. Let's take a look at this track. I think Polyrhythms is probably something that Virtual Riot probably didn't spend a great deal of time EQing here, but this is even a worse fall off than mine. Interesting that he also, there's like nothing in this track over like 10K there. It's missing everything 10K and up.
What you know about?
Okay, finally a track that's got the high end. This looks more like what I would expect, where the high end is just kind of like rolled off. I don't actually know why. I assume you round off the top because you don't want the speaker to be trying to maintain fidelity that is basically lost to the human ear anyways, that if it's trying to vibrate at 20,000 hertz, it's going to affect the way we hear the rest of the range that we actually can really hear, so maybe that's why. But this is maybe, their bass is way higher than mine. Well, I mean, the whole track is dramatically louder than my track is, but my music is definitely more spiky than the other tracks we've been listening to. That's almost flat. Look at that. Like, let's take a look at actual chiptune. Okay. So I was wondering if the chiptuneness, the kind of rudimentary nature of the sounds, maybe is part of why our track was so spiky. And Go for Distance here is the most chiptuned of our tracks. And this is a very unchiptuney section. So it's, yeah, over here where it's guitars, it looks much more even. But the moment we go over here to the chiptune, it becomes spiky again. Interesting to note, he's got, this looks like everything 18K and off rolled off there. We'll say in general, I feel like this is flatter than mine. He's getting more out of this. Well, the low end's still up there. That's pretty close. And then just for Chutes and Ladders. Pirates has kind of the lowest bass, but also still a pretty heavy drop off here. Also rounded off at the top there. So that's interesting. So the two big takeaways I have today. One, that shape I've got going on is a pretty good shape. This is a good shape. This is a fine shape. I don't need to be self-conscious about that at all. It probably all needs to be louder, but it is fine. The only other thing is that everyone's apparently just doing this and shaving a little bit of top off. Why? I don't know. I'm gonna go research that, see if I can understand why other producers are doing that. But thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys learned something along the way too. See you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.